Zerto supports long-term retention repositories hosted on disk, object storage, or in the cloud. Copies can be stored in Azure blobs, Amazon S3 buckets, or on S3-compatible storage. Cloud storage can be a convenient and cost-effective way to retain data that does not need to be frequently accessed, with use cases ranging from regulatory compliance, archive copies, or anything else that requires retention stretching into the years. LTR data is compressed and copied to a user-defined repository on a customizable schedule. Copies can be made from either the production site if using a local journal for backup, and/or copies can be made from the secondary target site if using a remote journal for disaster recovery. In either case, at least one full copy is required, after which incrementals can be made or additional fulls as needed. Starting in Zerto 9.0, users have the option to leverage cloud tiering to achieve granular control over which copies are on what tier of cloud storage over a span of days to months to years. For example, if using AWS, an LTR copy can start on S3 Standard, then be tiered to S3 Infrequent Access before finally being moved to Glacier. Similarly, in Azure, it's possible to tier from hot to cool to archive blobs. In both cases, the tiering schedule is fully customizable to ensure more short-term copies can be kept easily accessible, while the copies that will be retained for years and years are on the coldest archive-level storage types. Restores from these coldest tiers are possible, but the data is not suitable for frequent restores since rehydration is required, and, depending on this cloud, this can be a potentially lengthy or costly process. Keep in mind there may be also fees associated with frequent access or early deletion on the cooler tiers. Check Azure and AWS documentation to see exactly how long a copy must stay on a given tier to avoid unexpected fees on top of the per terabyte charges. Each cloud can have their own limitations, for example, the total size of a storage account in Azure, so the documentation will be helpful there as well. Also note that cloud tiering is only available for full copies, not incrementals, and tiering is not available with immutable retention sets. Getting started with LTR to the cloud will differ slightly depending on which cloud is used, though Zerto's technical documentation on MyZerto includes step-by-step instructions for each. In all cases, the cloud repository must be configured first, including ensuring the Zerto Virtual Manager can access it before setting up that repository from within the Zerto GUI's Setup tab. You'll configure cloud tiering here as well, since tiering is defined on a per-repository basis, not per VPG. For index and search, an SMB share must be configured as well. Lastly, select the desired settings and schedule options when creating a VPG or editing an existing VPG to add LTR. When editing an existing VPG to add cloud tiering, existing retention sets will not be tiered and only new retention sets will follow the newly defined tiering rules.